Have you ever noticed that everybody's chasing money? Like it's some kind of marathon, but the finish line keeps moving. You wake up, work 8 hours, spend 2 hours in traffic, pay bills, and then, surprise, you get to do it all again tomorrow. That's not a career, that's a hostage situation. They tell you money can't buy happiness. Yeah? Try being broke and happy. That's like being sober at a frat party. Technically possible, but you're not having fun. The funny thing is, people chase money so hard, they forget what they were chasing it for. They say, I'm doing it for my family. Really? Your kids don't even know your face, but hey, at least they've got the latest iPad to ignore you with. And jobs? Oh, jobs are the biggest scam. You work for a company that makes billions, and they give you just enough money to survive so you can come back and make them more billions. It's like renting your soul by the hour. Here's the truth. Money doesn't make the world go round. Stupidity does. Money just makes the ride a little more comfortable while you're spinning in circles wondering why you're dizzy. You ever notice how chasing money feels exactly like running on a treadmill? You're busting your ass, sweating buckets, legs moving faster than your brain can keep up. But no matter how hard you go, you're still in the same damn place. That's life, folks. We got tricked into thinking money is this magical finish line. Like if you just work hard enough, sacrifice long enough, sweat enough, suddenly you are going to break through the tape, balloons will fall, and you'll be rich and happy. But no, there's no finish line. The treadmill just speeds up. And when you trip, don't worry. They've got another poor sucker ready to take your spot. It starts early, too. They don't even wait until you're an adult. As soon as you're a kid, they start training you for the treadmill. Study hard, get good grades so you can go to college. That's just treadmill training camp. They don't care if you learn anything useful as long as you can memorize the bullshit they feed you and spit it back out in a test. You're like a parrot with student loans. Then when you graduate, congratulations. You're ready for the big treadmill. Now you can run for 40 years while making someone else rich. They'll give you a shiny piece of paper for your wall and a lifetime of debt for your soul. And let's talk about jobs. Jobs are the gym memberships you never asked for. You're paying with your life, not your money. You wake up early, put on pants you don't even like, drive through traffic that makes you fantasize about becoming a medieval knight just so you can stab the guy who cut you off, and then you sit in a cubicle all day under fluorescent lights that suck out your will to live. All this for a paycheck that covers rent, gas, and maybe a pizza on Friday night. That's not progress. That's a hamster wheel with better lighting. And the bosses love this system. They love it. Because while you're sweating on your little treadmill, they're sitting in an air-conditioned office sipping overpriced coffee, watching their money breed like rabbits. They don't work harder. They don't even work smarter. They just own the treadmill factory. And every year they upgrade the model. New treadmill, same trick. Now it comes with emails at midnight and unpaid overtime. What a deal. Have you noticed how they dress it up? They don't call it slavery anymore. No, that would sound too harsh. They call it career growth, professional development, and climbing the corporate ladder. You're not climbing any ladder. You're climbing stairs in an Escher painting. Up, 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 and you end up right back where you started, just more tired and a little more dead inside. And people brag about it too. That's the funniest part. People will actually brag about how fast their treadmill is going. Oh, I work 60 hours a week. Wow, congratulations. That's not an achievement. That's Stockholm Syndrome with a 401k. Said I haven't taken a vacation in 5 years. Oh, good. So you're not just trapped. You're proudly polishing your chains. People don't realize they're bragging about being overworked and underpaid. Like that's a badge of honor. It's like a prisoner bragging, saying I got the best cell in solitary confinement. And what's the reward for all this? A little bit of money, just enough to keep you from quitting, never enough to actually win. That's the secret. They don't want you to win. If you win, you stop running. And if you stop running, they lose their entertainment. Because make no mistake, to the people at the top, your life is their TV show. Look at them go. Jerry just hit his 10th year with the company and still can't afford braces for his kid. Isn't that adorable? Keep running, Jerry. Then there's the bills. Bills are the treadmill's fuel. The rent goes up, the groceries get more expensive, the gas prices spike, and suddenly you have to run even faster. Just stay in place. Inflation is just the treadmill turning up the speed. You don't get stronger, you just sweat more and complain louder. Meanwhile, the rich guy is sitting there saying, you just have to work harder. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Easy advice from someone who's never broken a sweat outside of golf. And don't get me started on the illusion of progress. They love to give you little promotions. And you're now a senior associate, junior assistant, vice subdirector of nothing that matters. They throw you a few extra bucks and a fancier title, and suddenly you're supposed to feel like you're moving forward. But the treadmill's still under your feet. You're still running in place. You just get to wear a nicer tie while you do it. People spend their whole lives chasing this phantom finish line. First, it's if I just make $50,000 a year, I'll be set. Then it's if I just make $100. Then it's zero. Then it's a house, then a bigger house, then a car, then 2 cars, then a boat. The treadmill keeps speeding up, and you're dumb enough to keep running because they keep dangling the next carrot. And here's the kicker. You never get the carrot. You just die on the treadmill, and they replace you with your kid, who's already been trained to love the machine. It's a generational subscription service for misery. And every now and then, you meet someone who says, well, I love my job. I don't mind the treadmill. Yeah? That's like saying I love prison food. It's nutritious. Sure, buddy. Keep telling yourself that. Some people convince themselves they're happy just so they don't cry in the shower every night. And if you actually are happy, great. But let's be honest, for most people, work isn't a passion, it's a punishment. You know what's funny? The treadmill is so normal, people don't even question it. Imagine if aliens showed up tomorrow. They'd be like, so let us get this straight. You humans spend most of your lives sitting in little boxes, staring at glowing screens, moving numbers from one place to another, all so you can earn imaginary credits to give back to the people who own the screens. And we'd be like, yeah, that's about right. The aliens would laugh so hard they'd leave us here to rot. And you can't escape it either. Try quitting the treadmill. Try stepping off. The second you do, life smacks you with reality. Bills pile up, rent's due, the car needs fixing, the kids need shoes, and suddenly you're crawling back to the treadmill saying, I'll run faster this time, I promise. It's not just a treadmill, it's a hostage negotiation with your own existence. And yet, despite all this, people still chase money like it's salvation. Like if they just run fast enough, they'll finally escape. But here's the truth. They don't want you to escape. The treadmill isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. And you, my friend, are the product. You ever notice how people love to say, money doesn't buy happiness? They repeat it like it's this great spiritual truth, some ancient wisdom passed down by philosophers and monks. Yeah, money doesn't buy happiness, but being broke doesn't buy a damn thing either. Try paying rent with happiness. Try handing your landlord a hug and a smile at the first of the month. Here you go, buddy. Here's 3 chuckles and a good vibe. That should cover utilities, right? See how far that gets you before you're living in your car, if you can still afford one. It's one of those lies society feeds you so you don't riot in the streets. They tell you money doesn't buy happiness, so you keep working for scraps, convincing yourself that your poverty is noble. Say, I don't need money. I'm rich in spirit. Yeah, but you're also rich in late fees and ramen noodles, champ. Let's not kid ourselves. Nobody's buying happiness, but money sure as hell buys comfort. Money buys options. And when you have options, happiness comes a lot easier. It's a lot easier to meditate about inner peace when you're doing it in a comfortable chair with the heat on, not shivering in a cold apartment with 3 roommates who think deodorant is optional. And you know who usually says, but money doesn't buy happiness? Rich people. That's right. People with yachts, mansions, private chefs, and a team of assistants to wipe their noses. They stand there in their $1,000 shoes, sipping a $20 latte, and they have the nerve to say, money doesn't buy happiness. Easy for you to say, buddy. You're not standing in line at the food bank. You're not choosing between buying groceries and paying for gas. You're not sweating bullets when the electric bill shows up. Happiness may not come directly from money, but misery sure as hell comes from not having any. And then on the other end, you've got the broke philosophers. These are the people who romanticize being poor. Ty, I don't need money. I live simply. I'm free from materialism. No, you're free from cable, Wi-Fi, and dental care. There's nothing noble about not being able to afford new underwear. There's nothing spiritual about drinking tap water because bottled water is too expensive. You're not enlightened. You're broke. And broke isn't funny. It's not charming. It's not some bohemian lifestyle choice. It's stress. It's fear. It's waking up every morning wondering how close you are to losing the little you've got. Happiness is tricky, I'll admit. It's not a thing you can buy off the shelf at Walmart. You can't just pull out your credit card and say, "Po one happiness, please. Extra large with a side of fries." But money buys the conditions that make happiness possible. Think about it. If you've ever been broke, truly broke, you know what I mean. You don't even think about happiness. You think about survival. You're not dreaming about sunsets or art or love. You're dreaming about not bouncing your rent check. You're not writing poetry. You're writing IOUs. And let me tell you, nothing kills happiness faster than constant anxiety over whether your debit card will be declined in front of a line of strangers. Let's put it this way. Money may not buy happiness, but it buys the things that prevent unhappiness. It buys food so you're not hungry. It buys heat so you're not freezing. It buys medicine so your toothache doesn't feel like an electric drill in your skull. It buys transportation so you can get to work without walking 5 miles in the rain. It buys a bed that doesn't have springs stabbing you in the back. Without those basics, happiness isn't even on the menu. Happiness is a luxury item, and money is the ticket to even get inside the store. And the irony? The people who chase money like maniacs aren't happy either. They're stressed out, paranoid, always comparing themselves to the next guy. They've got all the toys, all the gadgets, and they're still miserable. Because the truth is, money solves problems, but it doesn't solve you. If you're an asshole without money, you're just a broke asshole. If you're an asshole with money, you're just a rich asshole with a nicer car. Happiness isn't guaranteed, but money gives you the chance to go looking for it without starving along the way. The thing is, people confuse money with meaning. They think if they pile up enough cash, they'll automatically feel fulfilled. But fulfillment doesn't come in a paycheck. That's why you see these billionaires wandering around starting vanity projects, buying islands, building rockets to Mars. They're bored. They've run out of ways to spend money, so now they're trying to buy purpose. Meanwhile, the average Joe is stuck thinking, if I just had a little more money, I'd be happy. He doesn't want Mars. He just wants dental insurance. He just wants to sleep without that little voice in his head calculating how many days until the next overdraft fee. And here's the dirty little secret. Most people don't even want happiness. They want relief. Relief from stress, relief from fear, relief from the endless grind. Happiness is a lofty idea. Relief is practical. And money, my friends, buys relief. That's why the broke man's laughter sounds different. It's not joy, it's exhaustion. It's the laugh of someone who found $5 in a coat pocket and thinks, and great, now I can buy bread. And society loves to guilt trip you for wanting money. Oh no, you're greedy, you're shallow, you're materialistic. No, I'm hungry, Susan. There's a difference. It's not greed to want enough money to stop panicking every time your car makes a weird noise. It's not shallow to want shoes without holes in them. Wanting money isn't about being selfish. It's about survival. And survival isn't optional. Look at relationships. Money might not buy happiness, but a lack of money sure as hell buys divorce. Half of marriages fall apart because of financial stress. You can love someone with all your heart, but when the fridge is empty and the bills are stacking up, love doesn't fill your stomach. It doesn't keep the lights on. You can't pay the gas bill with kisses. Try telling the utility company, but we're in love. They'll say, that's sweet, now pay us or freeze. And when people are broke, they're not just unhappy, they're angry, they're short-tempered, they're snapping at their kids, yelling at their partners, kicking the dog, all because they're drowning in stress. That stress bleeds into everything. It poisons your health, your sleep, your friendships, and the world has the audacity to tell you, but relax. Money doesn't buy happiness. Oh, go to hell. Let's trade bank accounts and see who's smiling. The worst part is we built a world where money is the gatekeeper for everything. Want health care? Money. Want education? Money. Want to eat something other than cheap carbs that clog your arteries? Money. Want to take a day off without panicking? Money. Happiness might be free in theory, but in practice, it's behind a paywall. The universe is like one of those mobile games. Download is free, but the in-a beep purchases are where the real fun begins. So yeah, money doesn't buy happiness, but let's stop pretending that poverty is some noble path to joy. Poverty is stress. Poverty is pain. Poverty is waking up every morning already exhausted because you know the day is going to kick you in the teeth again. Happiness doesn't sprout in poverty. Maybe resilience does, maybe grit, maybe a sense of humor. But happiness? No. Happiness needs breathing room, and breathing room costs money. So when someone says, money doesn't buy happiness, I hear it differently. What they mean is when money buys the chance to look for happiness without worrying about starving. Money isn't the prize, but it's the entry fee. Without it, you're not even in the game. And anyone who tells you otherwise is either lying, delusional, or already rich enough to have forgotten what it feels like to be broke. You ever notice how people love to say, when I'm doing it all for my family? That's the magic excuse for everything. Work 60 hours a week, it's for the family. Never see your kids, for the family. Miss every birthday, every school play, every Sunday dinner. Oh, but it's okay, it's for the family. That phrase has become the biggest get-out-of-jail-free card in modern life. People use it to justify turning themselves into zombies. They'll say I'm sacrificing my time with my family so I can provide for them. Well, congratulations, genius. You've successfully turned yourself into a ghost in your own home. The family gets the house, the car, the gadgets, the bills paid, but they don't get you. It's insane if you think about it. Parents spend all this time working to give their kids a better life. But what the hell is a better life without them in it? You can't hug a paycheck. You can't throw a baseball with a mortgage. Your son doesn't remember the overtime bonus. He remembers whether you showed up to his game or not. Your daughter doesn't cherish the new iPhone as much as she cherishes the memory of you tucking her in at night. But hey, keep telling yourself you're doing it for them while you're stuck in traffic on your way to a job you hate. And here's the kicker. Half the time, the family doesn't even want the crap you're killing yourself for. Kids don't need the latest PlayStation or a closet full of branded clothes. They'd settle for you being around, laughing with them, listening to them, actually giving a damn about their day. But parents get trapped in this sick loop where they think love equals stuff. I'll show my kids I love them by buying them everything. No, you're showing your kids that love is conditional, and it comes wrapped in Amazon packaging. It's even funnier with spouses. You'll hear someone say, and I work so hard so my wife can have everything she deserves. Really? You think what she deserves is a big empty house and a husband she only sees when he's half asleep on the couch? Maybe she'd prefer a smaller house, fewer bills, and an actual conversation once in a while. But no, you're convinced she needs granite countertops more than she needs you to remember her birthday. That's the family trade-off. Possessions over presence. And the possessions always win because society told you that's success. The whole culture feeds this lie. Advertisers, companies, schools, they all push it. Work more, buy more, give more, and your family will thank you. No, they won't. They'll wonder why the hell you were never around. They'll wonder why their memories of childhood are filled with babysitters, teachers, and neighbors, while mom and dad were just these blurry background figures rushing in and out like UPS drivers. That's the great irony. The very people you claim you're doing all this for are the ones you're abandoning in the process. And here's the dark part nobody says out loud. Sometimes, and doing it for my family is just code for I'm scared to face my family. Work is a convenient hiding place. At work, you've got structure, titles, distractions. At home, you've got messy emotions, conflicts, actual human interaction. So people bury themselves in their jobs and pretend it's noble. Sorry, kids, can't come to your recital. I've got an important meeting. Translation, I don't know how to connect with you, so I'll hide behind spreadsheets. You can see it everywhere. Dads who come home after 10 hours, plop down in front of the TV and justify it by saying, A worked hard, for this family. Yeah, but your family didn't just want you to work for them. They wanted you. Moms doing double shifts saying, it's so my kids can go to college. That's admirable, sure, but if your kid graduates with honors and barely knows who you are, was it worth it? We've built this twisted society where sacrifice is praised, even if the thing being sacrificed is the very people you claim to protect. And the worst part, the kids learn it. They grow up watching mom and dad slave away, equating love with exhaustion, equating family with absence. So what do? They repeat the cycle. They grow up, get jobs, have kids of their own, and then disappear into work, repeating the same excuse, and I'm doing it for my family. It's a generational lie, passed down like a family heirloom nobody wants. I always laugh when I hear some executive brag about missing their kid's birthday party. Yeah, I had to miss it, but I closed a huge deal at work. You think your kid gives a damn about that deal? You think 10 years from now, your kid will say, well, Dad wasn't there for me growing up, but at least he made quarterly targets. No, your kid's going to say, Dad was never around. And then you'll wonder why your relationship with them feels hollow. It's not rocket science. It's neglect dressed up as responsibility. And don't forget the irony of how people use their family as an excuse to work, but then use work as an excuse to avoid their family. It's a double scam. They say, and then I'm at work because I love my family. Then they say, I can't deal with my family right now. I'm too tired from work. It's a closed loop. The job keeps them away, and being away justifies the job. Meanwhile, the family gets the leftovers, the cranky, tired, distracted version of you. And kids, let me tell you, they notice. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it. They know when you're phoning it in, when your body's in the room, but your mind is still stuck at the office. And here's a thought nobody likes to admit. Sometimes the family doesn't want all the crap you're working for. Your spouse doesn't need the McMansion in the suburbs. They'd be happier in a smaller place with more laughter and less stress. Your kids don't need private tutors and brand new sneakers every 3 months. They need you to sit at the dinner table and actually listen to their nonsense stories about school. But you convince yourself you're indispensable at work, when the truth is you're disposable there. At home, you're irreplaceable. Big difference. It's not that providing for your family is bad. Of course not. Food, shelter, safety, those things matter. But there's a line, and most people sprint right past it without realizing. They think more is always better, when in reality, on enough is plenty. But not enough isn't sexy. On enough doesn't impress the neighbors. So they keep grinding, keep missing moments, keep stacking stuff their kids won't even care about in 10 years. And by the time they realize what they missed, it's too late. The kids are grown, the marriage is hollow, and all you've got is a big house full of echoes. I've met people who can't even take a vacation without bringing their laptops. Oh no, I just need to check a few emails. No, you don't. You need to shut up and build a sandcastle with your kid. You need to turn off the phone and actually look your spouse in the eyes for once. But no, the family excuse is too strong. I'm just making sure I can keep providing for them. Buddy, what you're really doing is showing them that a glowing screen matters more than their face. And what's the big payoff? Retire at 65? Spend your golden years with the family you barely know? Great plan if you live that long, because a lot of people don't. They drop dead before they ever cash in those retirement checks. And you know what the family remembers then? Not the paycheck, not the overtime, not the promotions. They remember the absence. They remember the empty chair at the table, the excuses, the pant, I'll make it next time. You don't leave them memories, you leave them a resume. That's the great joke of it all. People keep saying, I'm doing this for my family, but the family never asked for it. They asked for you. They asked for your time, your love, your attention. And somehow, that got lost in translation, replaced by gadgets, bills, and hollow justifications. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it because society convinced you that's what being a good parent, a good spouse, a good provider looks like. But deep down, you know the truth. You're missing the point. You're missing them. And one day, you'll realize that all the stuff you bought was worthless compared to the time you could have had. Jobs, let's be honest, jobs are just a cleaner version of slavery. They don't call it that anymore because the word makes people uncomfortable, but let's strip away the fancy titles, the HR slogans, the company culture, posters on the wall, and what are you left with? A system where you sell pieces of your life to someone else for just enough money to keep yourself alive, so you can come back the next day and do it all over again. That's not freedom. That's a rental agreement for your existence. You don't own your time, they do. You just get visiting rights on weekends if you're lucky. And people defend it. They'll say, well, at least it's not slavery. We get paid. Yeah, you get paid barely enough to cover the bills that society designed to keep you chained. That's not freedom. That's a subscription plan. You're subscribed to survival, and the fee is 8 to 12 hours of your life every single day until your body gives out. Congratulations. You notice how companies phrase it too. They don't say, but we're buying your life. They say, we're offering you an opportunity. An opportunity for what? To be exhausted, to live in fear of getting fired, to spend more time with a spreadsheet than with your children? That's not an opportunity. That's a hostage situation with dental insurance. And they love talking about company culture. Oh, isn't that cute? We're a family here. Bullshit. A family doesn't fire you when profits dip. A family doesn't replace you with a machine or some intern willing to do your job for half the pay. A family doesn't measure your worth with performance reviews and pie charts. No, you're not in a family. Or in a cult with bad coffee and mandatory team-building exercises. Think about how jobs are structured. You've got bosses, managers, supervisors, all layers of authority to remind you that your time isn't yours, it's theirs. You can't even decide when to eat or pee without permission. Adults with college degrees raising their hands like school children to ask if they can go to the bathroom. That's not a career. That's kindergarten with worse snacks. And the time theft, oh, they're masters at it. They hire you for 40 hours a week, but somehow it turns into 50, 60 emails at midnight, texts on weekends, urgent projects that somehow only pay the same miserable salary. They're not just renting your time, they're repossessing it. They're sneaking into your life and stealing the hours you thought were yours. And if you dare complain, when you should be grateful to even have a job. Ah, yes, the old gratitude scam. Be thankful for the privilege of being exploited. People talk about the history of slavery as if it's over. No, it just evolved. They swapped chains for paychecks, whips for performance reviews, plantations for office cubicles. Back then, you worked until your body collapsed. Today, you work until your mental health collapses. Same system, different wallpaper. At least old slavery was honest. You knew you were owned. Modern slavery tricks you into thinking you're free because they let you pick your brand of toothpaste. And let's talk about commutes. Commuting is unpaid labor. You spend hours in traffic or packed into trains, burning your time and energy just to arrive at the place where they'll burn more of your time and energy. That's not freedom, that's a transfer of suffering. And they act like it's normal. People lose 10, 15 hours a week just traveling to their job. That's almost an entire part-time job, just preparing to be exploited at your full-time job. Then there's the illusion of choice. They say, well, you can choose your career. Follow your passion. Passion? Get the hell out of here. You can't follow your passion unless your passion is making rich people richer. Most people's passion doesn't line up with what the economy needs. The economy doesn't care about your dream of being an artist or a musician. The economy says, I get in this cubicle and shut up. And if you refuse, they starve you out. You're not free to follow your passion. You're free to starve if you don't conform. That's not choice, that's coercion. And the worst part is how people internalize it. They start to believe their job defines them. Ask somebody, who are you? And they'll answer with their job title. I'm an accountant. No, you're not. That's what you do to pay rent. That's not who you are. But they've conditioned people to wrap their identity around their labor, so when they lose their job, they don't just lose income, they lose themselves. That's how deep the brainwashing goes. And the whole system is rigged. The people at the top don't do the hard work. They don't sweat, they don't strain, they don't suffer. They just own the structure. They sit back, watch the money flow, and call themselves job creators. You know what jobs they're creating? Jobs that suck the life out of you. They're not creating opportunities, they're creating obligations. They're creating little contracts of servitude, and they expect applause for it. You notice how companies treat time off? They give you 2 weeks a year, 2 weeks out of 52, to live like a human being, 2 weeks to remember what freedom feels like, and you better not use all of it, or they'll think you're not dedicated enough. What a scam. They lease your life, then they guilt trip you for daring to reclaim a sliver of it, and if you get sick, good luck. They'll smile in your face while secretly plotting to replace you. Because in modern slavery, you're not a person. You're a slot on a spreadsheet, a cost to be minimized, a resource to be drained. And don't get me started on retirement. That's the big carrot they dangle in front of you. Work hard now, and when you're 65, you can finally enjoy life. That's not a reward. That's a delayed ransom. They're holding your golden years hostage in exchange for decades of obedience. And half the time, people don't even make it there. They die before retirement or reach it so broken down they can't enjoy it. What a joke. Imagine spending your whole life on the treadmill only to find out the finish line was a coffin. And people actually defend this system. They'll say, well, that's just the way the world works. No, that's just the way the world has been rigged to work. You don't have to like it, but don't pretend it's noble. People love to romanticize hard work, like it's a moral virtue. Work hard, keep your head down, play by the rules, and where does it get you? Tired, broke, and replaceable. The harder you work, the more they take. Hard work doesn't equal success. Hard work equals exploitation. Success comes from owning the damn treadmill, not running on it.